good afternoon. This is Houndog Steve wishing you a very pleasant afternoon. And I thought I'd bring a couple of interesting little stories that I came across back to back. They were written on basically the one day after the other. They both contain absolutely inflammatory language intended to scare the bejeebers out of you, and they absolutely 180 degrees contradict each other. And the first one is about the Earth is the Gulf Stream is slowing and is going to slip Northern Europe and the UK into an ice age. And even though at the very end of the story they say that in the coming decades, at the very top they talk about the collapse of the ocean current in 2025. And so the other story, actually what happened was I saw that on my Hotmail news feed, and so I had to click over, take a look at it, and when I went onto the Daily Mail website, I clicked on the wrong video, and that's how I discovered a reverse story where we're going into an absolute meltdown of warming with temperatures reaching 3 degrees increase over the next century. But it's the inflammatory language, the gaslighting, and also this is right out of doublespeak, George Orwell 1984 doublespeak, where you have two completely contradictory ideas and that you need to be worried about, you know, held in your mind at the same time. And what this does is it pathologizes your mind, you know, because both these stories cannot be true. Both these stories cannot be true. So you don't know whether it's one, the other, or neither. And so your mind gets softened into accepting more and more ridiculous assumptions about this planet. Now, of course, we do go through ice ages and interglacial periods. We're in an interglacial period right now, and we are coming to the end of that period. And I do believe that it is truly connected to the Gulf Stream. And when the Gulf Stream slows, okay, it is a lot like the toaster that you see in Tim Hortons, you know, that rotary toaster. When they want to give you more dark toast, they slow the speed of the conveyor down. Well, the water at the equator is getting hotter, coming north, and the water from ice water runoff is getting colder, and so you get more and more evaporation. And so all of a sudden, you know, you go from the greenhouse effect to the albedo effect, where suddenly we're reflecting more sunlight than we are trapping, and well, next thing you know, you get a 40-foot snowfall, and we slipped into the next ice age. And so that's my personal beliefs, just based on simple observation and thermodynamic law. You know, these currents mix, they slow down, they stall. It takes 120,000 years to re-establish the temperature differential and the salinity amount to get the perfect speed where we can get even seasons and you know, farmable conditions. And it's interesting because North America and Europe basically discovered farming around about the same time, which was 10 to 11,000 years ago. Okay, and the reason for that is you simply could not farm. The seasons and the weather was so unpredictable, you could not farm anything successfully on a consistent basis. But the fact that it was discovered on two continents at roughly the same time, tells you, like I say, that there was something that affected the entire planet, not just one localized area. And this technique that they're using, it's called the hair on fire technique, as you can imagine, running around, my hair's on fire, okay? And this is to get you all panicked and worked up about both stories, yet knowing that you cannot possibly believe these two things at the same time. Okay, so here is a little chart that I have discovered. It's a 800,000 year temperature chart for this planet, and you will see that we have predominantly spent most of our time cooler than warmer. So quite frankly, my friends, I don't know about you, but you better pray for global warming, because freezing your ass off ain't much fun. Anyway, let's flip over to these stories. It's very brief, and I'll show you a couple of pictures of what they put up, and I will also link the stories down below so you can go and read the whole thing. It's a little bit longer than the piece that I'm presenting here, but yes, you can read them for yourself and puzzle at the editor that watched these stories go across his desk in the Science and Tech division and didn't scratch his own head. Okie dokie, here we go. The Gulf Stream is on the verge of collapsing, leading climate change scientists warn, plunging the UK into a new ice age. Whoa! Well, that's a different point of view, isn't it? The network of ocean currents which keep the Earth's climate stable could be about to collapse, scientists have warned. In an open letter, 44 of the world's leading climate scientists say that key Atlantic Ocean currents, including the Gulf Stream, are on the brink of failure. The scientists caution that the collapse of the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, AMOC, could lead to devastating and irreversible impacts which will affect the entire world for centuries to come. The resulting climate fallout could plunge the UK into a new ice age, with winter temperatures plummeting up to 15 degrees C, 27 degrees Fahrenheit, below the current average. While the collapse of the Gulf Stream will be disastrous for Britain, that vital current is just one small part of the AMOC's massive global system. This giant ocean conveyor belt is critical for moving heat around the planet, but research suggests that it's been slowing down and could soon reach a tipping point. Without urgent action, the scientists warn that the AMOC could fail completely within the next few decades. Now, what did it say at the top here? What will happen to the UK if the Gulf Stream collapses in 2025? Well, that's not a few decades away, that's next year. So what is it, guys? Is it decades or is it next year? A matter of months. And here we see a picture of the 2004 iconic movie, The Day After Tomorrow, predicted that the world would enter a new ice age after climate change triggers the collapse of the Gulf Stream. This may have been science fiction 20 years ago, but leading scientists have now warned that the film's terrifying plot could be coming true. And on the flip side, here we go again. Okay, and this from Daily Mail Science and Tech, dated 24th of October 2024, the following day from the last article. Global warming will be twice as bad as predicted. Earth is on track for a catastrophic 3.1 degrees C of warming this century, the UN warns. The world is on track for a catastrophic 3.1 degrees C of global warming by the end of the century, the UN has warned. In its annual report on the emission cuts needed to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees C, the UN Environment Programme, UNEP, said the goal would soon be dead without a global mobilisation on a scale and pace never seen before. It warned the world was on track for temperature rises of 2.6 degrees C to 3.1 degrees C, depending on how much of the currently promised climate action is delivered. The warning comes ahead of this year's UN COP29 talks in Baku, the fossil fuel-rich Azerbaijan. There, nations will face calls to agree bolder action to scale up finance for developing countries, to tackle climate change and to close the emissions gap. Responding to the report, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said the world was teetering on a planetary tightrope. Either leaders bridge the emissions gap or we plunge headlong into a climate disaster with the poorest and most vulnerable suffering the most, he said. So I hope you enjoyed taking that little trip into Wonderland with me and wonder how it is all possible that, like I say, these two stories can be printed back to back, and also why they wonder that people don't believe the science anymore. You know, after a while, people just start to tune out all of this stuff because they can't make head and tail of it. You know, they just don't know where to go with either side. And this, of course, is the cautionary tale about the little boy that cried wolf. Okay, and after a while, crying wolf became meaningless, and the townspeople didn't believe when there was a real wolf. Okay, so we could easily be in a situation where an important notice goes out and everyone just goes, yeah, okay, whatever, because all of this is really now just becoming meaningless as we drown in doublespeak and gaslighting. Okay, well, if you enjoyed this, please like, comment, subscribe below. And in the meantime, this is Houndog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant afternoon, and we'll talk very, very shortly. See you now. Bye.